Hi, I'm Janet Salmons. I'd like to give you an overview of the taxonomy of online collaboration and how it can be used to achieve collaborative advantage. Now, some people use the term collaboration to describe just about any activity that involves a variety of people, but I use it to describe a more interactive process where people are really melding ideas, they're thinking, in order to achieve something they couldn't achieve alone. And collaborative advantage is a term that describes the strategic, appropriate use of collaboration to get things done. A few assumptions here. One is that collaboration is not a single activity, but a series of tasks and activities, and each have a set of skills that are needed to carry them out. And while any kind of collaboration requires these skills, when we're collaborating online, we need a more precise and strategic organization, better planning, and better communication to have it work successfully. And third, there are a variety of factors, personal, cultural, organizational, that influence our ability to either work successfully in a collaborative way or to face a number of obstacles. So the better we can understand those factors, the better we can plan and work to overcome them. One factor I'm describing here as interorganizational or intra-organizational, and by that I mean that if we're working within an organization or within a discipline, within a professional or national culture, we may share the same language, the same knowledge base, the same ways of getting things done. We're working within the same organizational vision and mission. So we can get started on a collaborative process much more readily because we've already got those foundations in place. Whereas when we are trying to cross disciplines, cross organizations or sectors or cultures, we may find that we need to build in some additional planning time in order to come to that kind of common language and common ways of approaching problems and making decisions that would be needed to work successfully in a collaborative way. Another factor is to think about what it is we're trying to achieve. Why are we coming together? Is this a case where neither of us, none of us have this information? We're coming together to learn together. We're going to acquire these new skills, learn this new approach, this new technology, etc. together. Then another reason we might collaborate would be to exchange. So you know the answers, you know how to do this, I don't. So I'm going to learn from you. We're going to exchange knowledge. Or we may be in a situation where we all are bringing relevant knowledge to the table, but now what we really want to achieve is the creation of new knowledge. So here we're looking at innovation, we're looking at new ways of thinking and creativity. So what we may need to do to work successfully may depend on what it is we expect and making sure that we all expect the same thing when we come together. So the taxonomy describes a series of 5 levels, and while they do build on one another, they're in any collaborative project or process will involve an interplay of probably most of these levels at some point in the process. And as we're moving into greater levels of integration in our thinking, we need increasingly high levels of trust. So let's just look briefly at each one of these. We begin, not surprisingly, with dialogue. We all know you need to be able to communicate to work in a collaborative process with other people. But here, we're going to, look at this a little bit more closely. We're talking here about the ability to exchange ideas in a clear and respectful and time-efficient way in order to make sure we have common goals, clear tactics, cohesive plan, and way to move forward. And then when we're moving forward, as we're moving through the process, that we have a way to continue our communication as is appropriate to the stage of the process and what it is we need to get done and the amount of time we have. I think collaboration can die due to inadequate communication. It can also be harmed by almost too much communication. If everyone is copied on every email, that is not going to help us to get things done. On the other hand, if some people are working in the same office and having lunch together every day and sharing all sorts of informal observations the distant participants don't have, then we may find that we have an uneven amount of communication. So there are a variety of things we need to think about in this area. Another one is how we retain the decisions and the information we've acquired or developed along the way. So that also fits within this communication category. Are we going to have a wiki? Are we going to have a shared file system? How are we going to make sure that we keep track as we go? As we're thinking about online communication, we need to think about what tools we're going to use when and for what purpose. And when do we really need to have everyone really paying attention, focused, and even if we are on a synchronous tool, we can have people who are checking their email or taking care of other tasks. So when do we want to say, well, just using that synchronous tool is not enough. We really need this level of synchronicity because we've got to solve this problem, and we need to have everyone really paying attention and contributing. Then over here, this, what I'm calling here near synchronous, we may find there is a use for the kinds of tools where we can post a quick question or an idea or an update, knowing that even though our partner is not on right now, they will be soon and will respond. So we can almost have the sense of an elongated conversation through a text chat or some kind of a forum that allows for that kind of communication, or the asynchronous, where we're using email, sending things back and forth. We're not online at the same time. So, and then we need to decide, how long a time lapse is acceptable. I need to hear back from you within 24 hours, within this week, this month, what do I expect? So here, it's not only a matter of choosing the right tool, but deciding how we're going to use those tools and making sure that everyone has the same expectations. So as we're looking at the dialogue element of a collaborative process, it's essential for building trust. And there are a number of skills and steps involved that I've listed here, including learning kinds of new listening and response skills that work in an online environment. We know from research that critical comments are taken much more harshly when they're communicated online than in person. And so we need to know how to give both positive and negative kinds of comments to each other, and we'll get to that a little bit more at the next stage. We need to know how to, again, summarize, retain decisions, key points, information along the way, so that we don't have to go back and repeat things we've already accomplished. The next level I'm calling peer review, and here we're talking about the ability to look at the inputs each of us is bringing to the table, give clear, constructive, respectful feedback to one another in a timely way. This is essential throughout the collaborative process. So here, we're talking about the ability to give and to receive feedback. We need some level of trust in our partners to feel okay about receiving that kinds of, maybe difficult messages to receive at times. So, we need to have some process in place for making that work successfully, or the project just won't move forward in a collaborative way. So, we need to, in order to achieve this, to decide, what those boundaries are. If I'm asking you for feedback about this, maybe I'm not asking you to correct my grammar or to give me feedback on my writing. I really just want you to know about the decision I've made. Whatever those parameters may be, we need to outline those, make sure everyone is on the same page. Part of this peer review process may also involve decisions about decision making and when we need input and to what degree. So, sometimes we may decide that whoever is kind of cheerleading this project may say, well, we really need to come to consensus about, these fundamental elements. We need everyone on deck. We need that synchronicity in our communications. We're going to take the time. We're going to get the buy-in. We're going to make sure everyone has all the information they need to come to consensus. But other times we may say, that's just not needed at every stage. It takes too much time for everyone to have all of that information and to take the time to resolve our differences. So we're going to say, okay, as a group, we've set the parameters. And now, we're going to either delegate to the leader or to someone in the group to, make a decision within those parameters. So that we might say, well, okay, we've all given our feedback on this document. We trust you to integrate all of our comments, and I don't need to see this draft again. Just go forward with it. So here, in these stages, we're kind of describing different ways that, someone may solicit input, but then move forward. So in other words, peer review at this stage involves a lot of dialogue, but it's not always necessary that everyone be involved with every step of the project all along the way, because that would not be time efficient and may entail a great deal of frustration if someone is having to now review this document for the 4th time, etc. So moving on to the next 3 levels of this model, they all describe ways that we might divide up a larger project or process to get things done with a number of participants. So here, we have the way where we may divide it. These might be individuals, they may be small groups or sub-teams who each take a piece of the project to go off and complete or research or develop, etc. So here, we will have needed to have the dialogue beforehand to decide what those tasks are, what kinds of criteria, parameters, boundaries, timelines will be needed at each of these steps. We may need to think about some way we're going to communicate while we're off doing those, at those interim stages of the process. And then, we'll need to have some kind of peer review to, look at what each other has done critically and decide whether it really is accomplishing what we want it to accomplish in the larger project. Another way we might divide things up is sequentially. So here we might say, well, this person or team is going to start the project and do the first stage, then hand it off to the next person or team, then hand it off to the next person or team. To work this way, we will need to have defined what exactly needs to be in place at each of these stages for this to successfully build through this sequential series of steps. So, what are the timelines, the quality standards, etc.? What ingredients need to be in place there? Then, we may also need to think about things like, what kinds of communication do we need? Does this person need to be involved with the communication when the project's at this stage or not? We need to think that through. And then we say, well, and does this person need to be kept apprised of what's going on as the project moves through the subsequent stages? So mapping out, what those stages are and how people are involved. Is this person going to then be involved, for example, when we get to that final outcome? So here we get to, the real challenge, kind of where the rubber meets the proverbial road, is being able to mesh the inputs from the different participants into that final outcome, and deciding, what kinds of dialogue and peer review will be needed to take a look at all of the different pieces and see how they're going to fit together, compile them in some way. Some things may get thrown out, and so then we need to make sure that we've kept a record of all of those, the thinking that went behind the rationale for each of those stages. So to work in either of these ways, are a number of steps that I've described here. And just to highlight one of them, it's a great deal of mutual accountability needed to make sure that everyone is performing as expected, and we've got the process is moving forward. And if it's not, how are we going to kind of negotiate and move forward in a different way? And then finally, at the synergistic level here, we're not dividing things up. We're all going to sit down together. We're going to brainstorm. We're going to work this out. We're going to bring all of the information and our knowledge to the table. We're learning together. We're thinking together. And when we look at the outcomes, we won't be able to see what you put into it and what I put into it, because it will represent all of our work in a very synergistic way. So throughout all of these different kinds of activities of a collaborative process, trust is essential. And as we're looking at throwing our work, our thinking, our best effort into something, with other people, then we need to make sure that we feel some level of trust that we can reveal our thinking and give honest feedback about what others are contributing. I like this definition from Charles Handy that, this kind of trust, we're talking about the confidence that the other person or the other people are competent to reach the goal. They have the skills involved, the technical skills, the communication skills, the content project related skills to do what we're doing. And they're committed to reaching the goals we've decided to work on together. This can take several forms. I may feel good about this project because I know you, I trust you, I know that you're committed to this project. If you're a little bit late with something or something falls a little bit short, I'm not going to get that upset because I trust you. I know who you are, and we'll work it out. Or I may feel good about this because, what we're calling here strategic trust. I trust the project. This is a good project. I believe in the goals. I know we're doing the right thing. We're heading in the right direction. We've divided this up in a realistic way, and I'm there. So I may not know all of the collaborative partners. I don't know them. I don't have a relationship with them at the level that would be described by personal trust. But I'm going to still, just give this project my best because I believe in the project. So that's what we'll call strategic trust. Then at the organizational trust, here I may not have decided to be on this project. You know, I may have been assigned to this project, and I don't know the other people. I don't have that kind of personal trust in the other members, or perhaps, you know, new people have been added that, you know, I don't know. So, but I feel okay about contributing because I believe that, you know, things were done in a fair way. I'm going to be rewarded for my work. Um, I've I've got the time. I'll have access to the information I need and the tools I need to get this done. There are not organizational barriers standing in the way or a mismatch between um, what I've been assigned to and what I'm being rewarded for. So, you know, those would be kind of organizational factors. So we may not have all of these, but we do need to have some kind of trust in order to move forward. And in this model from Chris Huxham and Vangen describes, you know, kind of the, you know, building. We may start with organizational or strategic trust, and then when we start to see some success, now, you know, okay, now I can build, you know, I trust the other people. I trust, and I've had that communication to find out who they are. So now I feel good about working with them, and I can move forward that way. Or I've started with the personal trust, and by achieving some modest outcomes that we could do just, you know, with a small group working together, knew each other. Now, you know, we're looking at, you know, those kind of larger, we've come to the larger goals, we've brought it to the organization, we've now got that organizational buy-in so we can move forward in a bigger way. And so, you know, whichever path it may take, we're, you know, looking at, you know, reinforcing those trusting attitudes and behaviors so that we can achieve those higher levels of collaboration and that collaborative advantage. So again, you know, as we're looking at the synergistic level and the kind of successful collaborative advantage, we really need to understand, you know, all of these different steps and know when to use what strategy to move things forward. And, you know, one of the things I'll point to here is that we're working online and we're analyzing a project, the way we go about it may also influence the way we use any time we may have to work together face to face, so that we are building the right kinds of relationships and doing the kinds of organization that will allow us to work successfully when we then go our separate ways and are trying to collaborate from afar. So the taxonomy is a tool we can use to map out a collaborative process, plan when we need meetings, when we need that collaborative process, when we need that synergistic, synchronous time so that we can really think together how much time, what kind of process we might need for the peer review, when we might need to go off on our own and think about things or do other research. And it's going to look different with every process and every project. So that's the taxonomy in a nutshell. You can visit my website, visiontolead.com, if you'd like more information. Thanks.